I don't know about the rest of y'all, but my highly cultivated algorithms lately have been feeding me a lot of nostalgia bait for the 90s and 2000s. A shocker, I know. A guy in his early 30s has a second kid and a birthday in the same week, then wonders why Facebook won't stop showing him blockbuster propaganda. I was always more of a Hollywood videos kind of guy myself. I'm finding myself in a very fortunate position to have something the young folks like to call paternity leave, where I actually get to form a bond with my children instead of work my way to a custody hearing and a Harley Davidson. With all this newfound time, I find myself bouncing between taking long walks with my oldest daughter to get her to nap in the stroller and give my wife a break from the chaos, and then holding my now week-old daughter, who really doesn't do much. In all that time, my mind tends to wander, and damn it if that propaganda isn't working its way into the deep recesses of my brain. An old memory of mine actually came flooding in, which I honestly can't fathom why. I was literally staring at my daughter's bald-ass head and started thinking about Super Mario Advance, a game I find inseparably connected to a store I once adored, Circuit City. The Red Best Buy, as I always like to call it. Back in my hometown, we had a little shopping plaza which had an Office Depot, a PetSmart, a Toys R Us, a Target, and a Circuit City. I loved this shopping plaza. It was the only area of town I ever wanted to go to. Just jump from store to store and window shop, getting ideas for what toy or game I would want to ask for my birthday. While I greatly enjoyed Toys R Us as a kid, there was something intoxicating about Circuit City to me. I always had an easier time convincing my dad to spend time in that store, as he could go look at the Beach Boy vinyls or whatever it is the old people did in 2002. But me? I was in the gaming section. I don't know why, but until we got a GameStop, Circuit City was the only store in town that had a good gaming section. I very vividly remember going frequently when my dad had his custody weekend and running to the Game Boy Advance section just to peruse the games and look at the box art. Two games always stood out to me: The Legacy of Goku and Super Mario Advance. As much as I loved Dragon Ball Z and wanted to just immerse myself in anything about it, there was just something about all the colors popping off the box art and how vibrant the artwork was in Super Mario Advance that I just felt so drawn to it. At the time, I had only ever played Super Mario 64 and Sunshine at my friend's house, as I didn't own Nintendo home consoles.
Super Mario Sunshine! Woohoo!
I was a PlayStation kid. So I just would always go and look at the box art for the two games and just sit there trying to figure out which one I would actually inevitably ask for. I'm not sure why, but on one of our visits, my dad just randomly decided to let me pick a game for him to buy me. Suddenly, all that time I spent looking at box art was gonna pay off. A little side note, I didn't get internet at home until around 2003 or 2004. I wasn't really able to research games, which added to the constant desire to look at the games in store. I chose The Legacy of Goku because Dragon Ball Z was life, and honestly, I don't know what I was doing at the time other than wanting to be like Goku. Luckily, my buddy bought a copy of Super Mario Advance later on, and I was able to try it, but this memory just reminded me of how much I loved the entities that were Circuit City. I loved the town I grew up in, but a lot of stores were small and outdated versions of what I would see when visiting cities like Austin and Dallas. That's not so much the case these days, but back then it was very much true. And Circuit City and Target were no exceptions to that rule. However, the town next door that we shared a city limit boundary with had more money than they knew what to do with. They tore down this enormous sheer cliff off the side of the highway, and they put in this just huge shopping area with a movie theater and all sorts of restaurants and just stores. Two stores which saw massive upgrades and got the old versions in my hometown shut down were, you guessed it, the Target and Circuit City. It took about 15 minutes to drive out to this location from my house, but it was worth it because in the center of this store was this huge circular kiosk filled with demo consoles. One of the stations in this giant kiosk was this Xbox 360 that had Rock Band installed on it. I can't tell you how many times I would drive down to this shopping area with my high school friends to catch a movie at the theater and kill time playing Everlong and Are You Gonna Be My Girl on this kiosk. It was heaven. I honestly think, looking back on it now, I can thank this little kiosk in this Circuit City for why I have such a passion for playing the real guitar now. Sadly, not too long after this location went up, the corporate entity known as Circuit City went bankrupt and, to my knowledge, shut down all locations. If not all of them, they got rid of mine, and that really hurt. The one in my hometown got bought out by Specs, which is a Texas liquor store chain, and I find that really ironic in a cosmic sort of way. The outside of the Circuit City was this unique shaped entryway, which I'm always reminded of the roots when I visit that Specs. It's not really relevant to waxing nostalgic on Circuit City, but I find it amusing. Anyway, that's all I've got on Circuit City. It's the store I spent most of my loitering time in, and I deeply enjoyed that time spent. I honestly think it's where my just deep-seated love of physical media comes from, and why it's so hard for me to move into this digital era, and honestly, I probably never fully will. I miss cool brick-and-mortar stores and physical media, and I feel like that's a real intersection of those interests in hindsight. Let me know down in the comments if you had a similar experience to me with any other stores, or if you just missed the Red Best Buy. I could do a whole other video on my love for GameStop, but this was kind of my precursor to that.
Copy that.
If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost anything to hit it, but it costs everything if you don't. If you're not new around here, honestly, I'm sorry for the long delay in uploads. I've recorded 5 different videos in the span of the last few months and trashed each and every one of them halfway through editing them. I also very recently just had another kid and had to do all the preparations in expectation of that. Obviously no promises of regularity, but I assure you I will be back. Subscribe so you know when I'm back. Hit that little bell button down there, because apparently that does something. I wouldn't know. Lastly, like the video if you enjoyed it. Ignore all buttons if you didn't. Until next time, keep it tuned in.